Hey everybody, welcome to bonus stuff. So we just got done reviewing Avatar: The Last Airbender on Netflix. That's often referred to as American anime. Um, and there was also big news that Naruto is going to get a live action adaptation.
Netflix?
Oh god.
Hold on. No, it's not Netflix. It's actually going to be Legendary. So we were thinking, I was thinking about anime. I've been watching a lot of anime recently. So, we know that anime comes from manga, or as the cool kids say, manga. Um, and we know for a lot of people in Japan, their source of manga comes from Weekly Shonen Jump, which was this anthology magazine that came out, and it just anthologized a bunch of manga. So I thought we'd talk a little bit about Weekly Shonen Jump. Its first issue came out in July 11th, 1968. It had its golden age around the same time that Goto became the editor, and that was between 1986 and 1993. It sold over 7.5 billion issues, which makes it the most sold comic slash manga magazine ever. The North American version was called Shonen Jump, and that ran from 2002 to 2012. And of course, there's a thing called the Big Three, and the Big Three refers to um, it refers to One Piece and Naruto and Bleach because those were just on fire, and everyone. Those were the most popular series that they had. So I have some questions for you. I took the titles from each. I think it was four from each One Piece, Naruto, and Bleach, and I took four titles from the volume. So on the next slides, I got the titles of the volume, and you got to guess: is it from One Piece, is it from Naruto, or is it from Bleach? So we'll see how you guys do.
Easy.
I've never
Easy.
I've never seen an episode of One Piece. I've never seen an episode of Bleach, and I've only seen half of Naruto. So I'm doomed.
Okay.
He's
So
gonna win.
he's gonna win. Um, so let's go to the first one, Jared, if you can turn the page.
Oh, I already know what this is.
For the sake of dreams, what is this? It's Michael, you get to go first since you
Gotta
know
be
it.
Naruto, because all he does is care about dreams and being Hokage, right?
It is Naruto. So Michael, you have got given your team 1 point. All right, Jared, go to the next one. Cool fight. What do you guys think for this one? We'll let Michael go first.
Oh no. Cool fight. They're fighting in Bleach, but I don't feel like they'd say it's cool because they're too edgy for that. So I'm gonna go One Piece. It's gotta be Luffy saying cool fight.
He's right again. He is on a roll.
The duck got it.
And these are
Okay,
just from the big three, right?
yes.
Okay.
So let's go to
Oh,
the
if I
next
went
one.
past that, I'd be doomed, Jared.
The path you tread. Who do you think this is, Michael, this time?
Oh no. See, that could be any of them. You know, like you got the path of to the Hokage, you got the path of Bubblegum Man, and you got what I have no idea what Bleach is about. Literally nothing.
All
But there's
Grim
got to be
Reapers.
paths that they do things. There's path you tread to death. But I'm thinking it's gonna be a toss up or a swirl up, and we're gonna go, ugh, we're gonna go back to One Piece.
That is incorrect.
Okay.
So, Jared or Thomas, what do you guys think?
Go ahead, Jared.
I think it's Naruto.
That is correct. So, you guys got that one. That is from Naruto. Go to the next one, Jared. The Oath.
Now we're getting to edgy territory. It's got to be Bleach. No question.
Incorrect.
Oh, what?
One Piece. It's One Piece.
Oh,
It is One Piece.
gosh.
Jared got it this
But it got
time.
edgy.
Moving
All right, this
on,
is all
Jared.
Thomas. No.
Higher than the moon.
I'm gonna go Bleach.
Okay, it is Bleach.
Yeah.
What does that refer to?
I really don't know, honestly.
Yeah, I
Go
don't
ahead.
either.
Go ahead, Jared. If you guys, Higher Than the Moon was the 35th volume, so If you can remember what the heck was going on.
There's
in
like 60,
volume
Joseph.
35. Okay, bad end musical. Michael, what do you think this is volume is from?
That's too fun. So okay. Bad end musical. I don't even know what that means, but
It's
I feel like that. I want to say One Piece, but I'm gonna go with Naruto because I feel like it.
Incorrect.
Dang it.
I'm gonna go on a limb and say it's Bleach.
Incorrect.
Oh, okay.
it was
One Piece.
It is One Piece.
It was too easy.
So I'm not giving you the point since you took you 2
Dang.
tracks.
Should've gone with my gut.
Should have gone with your gut. Okay, let's go to the next one.
What's all music stuff?
The Slashing Opera.
Naruto.
Incorrect.
No, Thomas, because the sword slashing, it's Bleach.
It is Bleach. Man, Michael is on fire on this one.
I felt
Well,
like
you gave him like 3
Swords.
first passes though.
What'd you say, Jared?
I felt like it had to be Bleach.
Okay, the next
I know
one.
this one. Oh,
Okay.
actually,
Friend.
I'm gonna rule out
Naruto.
Bleach.
Incorrect, Jared.
Oh,
One Piece.
Incorrect,
Oh,
Thomas.
no.
Really?
This
Yeah.
is from Bleach.
But it's
Really?
too edgy for
It
friends.
could have been
There's
any of
friend-
them,
Yeah,
honestly.
that's rough.
Volume 70. Okay. Moving on. Pursuit.
Need for Speed?
Michael, it's not Need for Speed, but what else
Oh,
could it
this
be?
is guys. One Piece. They're on ships. They're chasing each other. It's gotta be One Piece.
Incorrect.
Oh,
It's not well, Naruto.
Dang
Jared
it.
got it.
After
Oh,
Sasuke, fool.
They do run a lot in woods in Naruto. There's a lot of pursuing in that. This is true.
My brother.
Huh.
Full Metal.
Oh.
Incorrect.
One Piece.
Yes, that is correct.
That's
Next
Ace,
one?
I think. That's the only thing
Oh.
I know.
Brothers. Full Metal.
Brothers. Incorrect, Michael.
Naruto.
Yes, that is correct. I tried to throw you off with those two. And
Oh.
Memories in the Rain.
Memories in the Rain.
Bleach.
That is correct.
That's
That's the
real- that's
third
real edgy.
volume.
That one
Yeah, I'm
feels
saying-
like I've read that one or like
That's
It's the third
familiar.
volume. Yeah.
that's some emo stuff right there.
I think that's the last one, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys did good. You go. I gave you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 points. 10 out of
Nice.
12.
Nice. Should have gone with my gut on
Okay.
the one, but
I think we'll do a part 2 of this guessing game someday, but it will not be next week.
It will not be this day.
All right, so it's time for your captain's log, Michael. Tell us what has been going on in Star Trek.
all right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back aboard the Enterprise of Starriness. I will admit, at the beginning of this episode 4, which is called Thomas, help me out here.
The naked time.
Yeah, the Naked Time. Yeah.
The Naked
So
Time.
I had just got back from Costco. I had like an hour before we started podcasting, so I threw on the episode and was throwing a bunch of stuff in the fridge while I was watching. So the beginning of this episode was a little hazy for me. But what I gathered was there's a man in an icy freezer or something of the sort. He has a hazmat suit on. What does he do in his hazmat suit? Takes his glove off and picks his nose.
That's not a hazmat. It's a warm
Thermal?
weather gear. Yeah.
Warm weather gear. Well, that's just confusing. But it picks his nose, gets contaminated by something, but we'll figure out later on in the episode. Did they go back to the ship? Were there people on the ship? There were people from the ship down in the icy freezer?
Yeah.
Okay. I missed that bit. I was put away milk. So
In the icy freezer.
in my own icy freezer. So we get back on the ship, and what is Star Trek about, ladies and gentlemen? Star Trek is about someone on the Star Trek ship going bananas. And so what does the one man do? He starts going bananas, and he starts freaking out about, we shouldn't be in space. Why are we in space? We shouldn't fly. We don't have wings. We don't fly. But they're flying, and they are in space, and he loses his marbles, stabs himself in the gut. According to Spock, he gives up on life and dies. But not
It's so
before.
fun.
But not before he holds hands with people and starts spreading his uncertainty and confusion among the crew. So not only this episode's moving further in Star Trek lore, not only one person crazy, we got many people going crazy. You got Sulu shirtless in the halls with a sword. You got some Irishman running around singing over the comms the entire time.
Oh, I hated that.
I like that. We're feeling sick. Let's just work it off and go to the gym.
But very excitedly. I thought he was like not acting at the moment. But then we get Spock falling in love or something with his emotions. He starts getting real weird and sappy. Kirk gets real angry and stuff. And then finally, Bones. There was I made a mental note about Bones because there was something weird he did and it confused me. I don't remember what it was, but Bones found a cure and he's yelling about everyone. Everybody get this crap together, get sparked because the water was bad. And now everyone who's sweating on each other when they're making whoopee is spreading this weird disease of craziness. All while this is happening, they're sinking back down to the planet, getting pulled in. Their ship, their thrusters aren't working. Nothing's getting them out of it. They can't do anything, and so they have to do an implosion of their engines. And that's something that's like that's not it's scientifically possible, but improbable or something like that. But they hit the 1 out of a gajillion chance. Burst their implosion of engines happen, and they get out of the thing. But what's happening? The clocks are going backwards. The light is red. It is not green. They are going back in time, ladies and gentlemen, until he slows down and they return to 16 minutes or something like that. I can't remember what. No, it was 6
3
o'clock.
days.
3 days.
Oh.
No, I just remember the army time was at like the 18. And so they're all back to normal. Only the dude that stabbed himself died that I remember. But we didn't know his name, so it doesn't matter.
It's a good day for Star
It's
Trek.
a good day for Star Trek. They had the many existential crises, not just one this time. But we are okay. We have to mention, though, that Bones, that's what it was. That's a mental note. Bones comes up with the grip of God and just rips Kirk's shirt off his shoulder.
Oh, yeah.
No hesitation, just and gets his little shoulder and heals him. But I was just like, man, you could have just rolled up his sleeve or something. Like, pull it back a bit and get him on the collarbone. Did you have to just show off there? Like, that was an Avatar moment of him floating down there. Like, all right, Bones, calm down, sir. Get control yourself. But so the Enterprise lives to dare in space another day.
Bones entered the Avatar state and just ripped his shirt off.
Under his hair, this blue arrow is glowing. This episode, it was just kind of like, I'm assuming the formula is going to change, but it seems very Star Trek so far. We're doing the whole same thing of people get infected on the ship because there's not a lot of like. It's when was the show? The 60s or something like that.
Yeah.
I assume most of their budget is limited to where, hey, we're going to be on the ship. But yeah, so not my favorite. Didn't really stick with me, but you could blame that on Costco if you would feel so inclined. Yeah.
I was texting Joe, so like I would never trust the away team. I'd be like, you're in.
When you come back, you're quarantined no matter what.
Yeah, quarantine for at least a month. Like
they always touch stuff. Why do they touch stuff?
Picking his nose in the freezer, man. God. Imbeciles. Did he lick his finger? What did he do? He just was like, I'm gonna stick this in my mouth and
he like smelled it or something. I don't know. He's like a Napoleon Dynamite thing.
But yeah. So yeah, we've I'm is that some sort of leading into there being time manipulation later on?
No, there's always time stuff. Yeah,
quite a bit.
I thought we were like getting into like the discovery of time travel stuff, but never mind then.
It's not like
they just picked their noses.
They don't rely on it as much in the later like series because they're like, oh, it's kind of a cop out. But during the 60s, it was all about time travel.
That was what was cool in the fad.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the best episodes in the original series is about time travel. So, but we'll get into that.
Okay.
All right, so we go on to House of the Dragon.
Hot D.
Crabman.
Episode 4. The King of the Narrow Sea. So we start off with the Bachelorette Princess edition going on, where she's judging suitors. The first one is this storyteller who's an old guy, and she's like, "Get off the stage, Grandpa. I don't care about this." And the next guy is a little boy. And he's like, "Hey, princess, I really like you."
She's like, "Hang him. Get him out of here."
He's like, "I will protect you with all my might." And some guy in the crowd's like, "She's got a dragon, fool."
Was it a fish from SpongeBob?
Boo, you stink.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks.
And he's like, my honor. So he takes out his sword and they duel, and the little boy becomes a little man because kills the guy who heckled him.
Dang, nice, nice.
He straight up murders this guy.
But the princess is not impressed, and she leaves with Sir Christian, and they get on a boat, and they're on this boat, and then I guess Maverick's driving a dragon because he buzzes them on the boat and like spills her coffee, and she's like, Maverick. Um, so the king puts on his crown, looking very kingly, and he's kind of mad that the princess is back because he's not really happy with the princess at the moment because she won't pick a darn suitor. Damon enters because he did his heroic deed with the crab people. He's got this weird crabby little crab leg crown on his head. And the king's like, "What the heck, man? I'm the king." And the Damon's like, "I'm the king of the narrow sea." They named me that. He gives
The
him a
king fool?
But are you the king of crabs?
He gives him a hammer and says, "Add that to your stupid pointy chair." And then he gives him the crown and says, "Oh, I'm just kidding, bro. You're the king." um, so the princess is like, she's smiling at this. She's laughing at this. They bro hug it out, and there's like, bro, yeah, king bros. Um, and the crowd goes wild. They loved it, man. So they go to brunch, and they're kind of getting boozy, and the queen comes over and she's like, "Hey, maybe you want to see the tapestries?" And they crack up. They're like, "Tapestries? Ha! Ha ha ha!" Silly little queen.
Give me another mimosa.
And the princess is like, "I would have liked to see the tapestries." So they have some girl chat, and they're talking about romance, and the princess feels like there's no romance in her life, and the queen's like, "You got all the romance, man. All these suitors are trying to get with you." And she's like, "That's not the same." And then the queen's like, "Man, I wish I had friends." The princess goes over to her uncle, and she's like, "Hey, what are you doing here?" And he's like, "I want the comfort of home." And then they talk about her getting married, and because the princess doesn't want to get married, and he's like, "Dude, you got to get married. It's your duty." And she's actually afraid because she doesn't want to end up like her mom. And he tells her that you can't live in fear. I thought that was a pretty good exchange from those two. Um, there's a meeting, and they talk about how they don't want the free cities to align with this one guy, the sea snake. They don't want those two to make an alliance. So they're like, "Hey, you got to get the princess to marry the sea snake's son." And he's like, I'm trying, man. I'm really trying." Uh, the princess goes back to her room. She smells some stinky laundry, and she finds a map. And she's like, "Cool." And she follows the map, and it leads her out of the castle. She sees a big old dragon skull, and she's like, "That's cool." And then she sees Damien up on a perch, and he's got a hoodie on, and he's like, "Hey, let's go live it up in the city this time, since you never get out." So she goes with him, and they see a little bit of the street life. Someone calls her a boy. Oh, that's later on. But someone calls her a boy, and she's like, "Haha, they called me a boy." Um, the king takes a royal bath where we see he's missing some fingers. The queen tells everyone to get out and that she can bathe him better than they can. We get some street satires. So they're putting on the show, and we get kind of their opinions on who would be better. They don't really like the princess. They kind of don't want her to be queen. And she's like, "Well, who cares about them?" And she takes off running because she wants to have fun. And this is where Damon like runs after her, and he takes her to go see some naked cartwheels. The queen gets summoned to the king's bedroom, and she's not having very much fun with him because he's old and nasty. The princess makes out with her uncle, and then he leaves her hanging. So she marches over the Sir Christian and says, you got to get the job done because he left me hanging. Um, the hand gets a message the next morning from a little boy. He's like, oh. Damon wakes up with his old girlfriend, and she's like, I'm better than you and stuff. I don't like that character at all. She's got a weird accent. Um, so the hand reports to the king what the message was. He's like, hey, we saw the princess doing the nasty with her uncle. And he's like, the king's like, hey, how dare you? You get out of here. He doesn't believe her at all. Um, and then the princess is in her room. So Christian comes in and she's like, ooh, get over here. And he's like, you got a message from the queen. Um, and she goes out to meet the queen. And the queen's like, hey, here's what's going on. People saw you doing the nasty. And she's like, I didn't do the nasty. There was no nasty done.
Zero nasty.
Zero.
Damon stumbles in to the castle and they like drag him to the king. And the king is very mad at him because he took the princess's honor and calls him a plague. He's like, you are a plague. And he tells him to leave and go back to your wife because he hates his wife, but he tells him to go back to his wife. The queen vouches for the princess and says she believes him. The king's not so sure anymore. The king confronts the princess. He's got this dagger burning in the fire. And I guess it's like they forged it like the One Ring because if you put it in fire, it tells you secret words. And the king commands the princess to get married. You are marrying the sea snake. And the princess is like, oh man, because he tells her only optics matter, man. Who cares if you did it or not? And he says, "You are my headache." And I really like that line because she's like, she's like, "Oh, you just want me to marry because it'll get rid of your headaches with politics." And he's like, "You are my headache." So yeah, she's getting reprimanded, and so she tries to throw the hand under the bus. He's like, "If he's going with me, if I'm getting in trouble." The hand later on, the king is waiting for the hand in there, and he goes 5 days, and he's like, what are you talking about? And he's like, took you 5 days to kill my dad. And he's like, oh, that wasn't me, you're crazy. But he's like, yeah, he doesn't trust the hand at all anymore, and he's like gonna fire him. And then at the end of the episode, this old man enters the princess's room and he gives her some tea, like in the Nirvana song. And she's like, what's this? And he explains what the tea is so she doesn't get pregnant. And that ends. I thought it was actually a cool scene because he's like implying that the king doesn't trust her word at all now. Which is way more subtle than the stupid episode before this. Because, as you know, I did not like that episode before this. Yeah, I did like this episode. It was an improvement, except for like the softcore HBO stuff that was a little weird.
Got
But
intense in that one.
yeah, but the rest of the
Thomas.
stuff, I think the high
Yeah.
points for me.
I was next to Michael when we were watching this show, and it was just like,
Getting
Mm.
ideas.
it's
So
Matt Smith. So Michael's like, oh,
Like,
yes.
okay, so for me, 4 episodes in, the strongest parts for me are the king. I love his dialogue. I love the speeches he gives. I love his interaction with Damon and the princess. I think he's the strong point of the series. The princess, she borders on almost being annoying. Just because, I mean, that's her character. She thinks she's all bad. She thinks she's like wise beyond her years, which she's really not. So she walks that fine line. I don't think she's annoying, but she's almost tipping over to annoying. Damon, I just wish they would give him something to do. I wish, because I wish they'd give him a plot or something, make him look a little smarter, because right now he just looks like a kind of a buffoon. Um, and that, yep. So that was House of the Dragon for this week. So we'll see you next week for episode 5. All right, so let's get into our other homework. What did you do this week, Jared?
Not much.
Lies.
I'll just go over YouTube. That's pretty much it. Just Stop had a video. It was called "To Adapt a Wimpy Kid." So it was about the whole Wimpy Kid series of movies. He's saying the original run was perfect. The ones that me and Joseph and Jonah always watched and liked.
The first 3.
Yeah, but then the sequel was terrible, and then like there was an animated couple of movies
couple
after
of 'em.
that, and just kind of sucked too. But he had the same opinions on the original series. It's like, why are these so good? They're way better than you would ever think. I enjoyed that video.
Something so like doesn't seem like it would be good, and then it's
Yeah.
like, wow, this is actually pretty great.
I remember
Mhm.
watching the first one. I was like, man, that was good. And then we saw the other two, and I was like, man, yes.
Do they still hold
Um,
up, do you think? Or
Yeah. And then I watched Design Doc, like Doctor. His video was what makes a great in-game shop. It just goes over like game shops, um,
Hmm.
telling you different ones and like gimmicks to certain ones. Like some you can steal from, and then if you do steal, then you're banned from shops. They know you stole, and they'll actually attack you and stuff like that. So he gives the example like Spelunky. If you steal from the shop, then all the shop owners know and they won't sell to you.
Hmm.
I thought it was cool, just going over something you
know-
don't really think about.
You know, has a cool shop.
Hmm.
Tunic.
Yeah, he had a clip of that one.
the
He's
Fox
like-
one?
Yeah, it's like this big scary fox spirit thing that you go into.
He scared me the first time because you just go in and it's like an empty room, and then this big old bone thing comes out, and you're like, oh. And then I watched a channel called Good Enough. There's a lot of channels where it's just like stick figures and kind of like just looks like a piece of paper and some drawings, and they kind of explain stuff to you. This one, he had a couple of videos that I watched. The first one was most painful venoms in the world, and he just goes over the different types of animals with like he talks about cone snail. It was one of the most painful ones, and then like the most painful one, I didn't know it was the most painful, is platypus venom,
Hmm.
because they have that heel.
The heel, the
Yeah.
spike. Yeah.
They have a spur is what they call it. It's just like a spine on their heel, and there's no cure. There's no anti venom for it. Like, and it's like super painful. And there was a guy that got stung by it in like 1998, and in 2016 he was still feeling it. Like,
Dang.
so he's like, they may be cute, but don't pick them up unless you have like some gloves or something. And then he had another video that was pretty cool. Is the worst punishments in human history. Got pretty intense. Apparently in India, they use elephants to squash people. And if you weren't like, if you were just like getting punished for something, hopefully they would just squash your head and then you die. But then there are some special cases where like they stomp on all your limbs and then they stab you with the tusk and then they squish you.
Wow.
Goodness.
Very uplifting.
Informative and fun to watch. And then I watched a video from Moonshine Post called Videodrome, Atlanta's last video store or rental store. And there's just talks about this rental store, like video rental store that's still up in Atlanta. And just like they're still doing pretty well because the community wants these like hard to find videos and like art house videos and stuff like that. So it just keeps that kind of community alive. And it seemed kind of cool. Like seemed like a really cool store.
Sounds like Be Kind, Rewind type thing.
Yeah. And then the only other shout out I had was Era put out another single from their new album that's coming out in a couple months, and it is really good. And I can't wait for this album. It's called Blue Reverie, and that's all from me.
All right, Thomas, why don't you go next?
Okay. Did a lot of studying this week, so I like to find stuff that I can just put on and just not completely pay attention to, but still be engaged. That's how my brain works. So I watched just a ton of Game Grumps. Um, they're just it kind of brings me back to like when I was in my early 20s, and I would watch Game Grumps like either by myself or with Jared. And so it's kind of a comfort. It's almost like a comfort show, to be honest with you.
I never watched Game
Um,
Grumps with you. I don't think so. We watched we would watch.
Nostalgia Critic. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That's the wrong one. Well, okay, by myself then. I like I like Game Grumps. Um, but I like going back to it and just watching them. They're a lot of fun to watch. They did this one about and I forgot what it's called, but everything was like it's like these animals that are animated so poorly that it looks like people who did not know how to animated a video game. It is like the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. And the fact that they did like the ADR, like in maybe an outhouse, it sounds like, um, it's hilarious. And they walk up to like, oh no, it's gonna be that bad. Okay. Um, but yeah, I love watching Game Grumps. And then I watched some administrative results. He's one of the gun tubers I like, and he did a whole breakdown on Sicario and just kind of the history that went into a lot of the background that movie's based on, because he was a cop in Arizona and it takes place in Arizona, so it's kind of an interesting background to just the drug cartels and just that situation. It's very interesting. So he's actually more serious because he's normally kind of a comedic guy, but this is kind of like a serious topic for him. So he actually, went out and uh, did his due diligence. Uh, and then after we watched Avatar for the first three episodes, I decided to start watching the original series again, and I, it's great. It's hard to beat it. And I did find out though in the credits that Dave Filoni directed the pilot. So
Yeah, I knew that.
I when
That's where
his
he
na-
came from.
yeah, when his name came up, I was like, Dave Filoni? I'm like, you're kidding. So it's just kind of cool. But you can kind of see it in like a lot of the other Star Wars stuff that he did. Um, so
One thing I missed
and
about the first episode of the Netflix one I was waiting for penguins, and they
yeah, penguins. Do you want to go penguin surfing with me? Um, and then I watched Siege at Jodetville. I don't know if you've ever seen that one. It's on Netflix. It's about this Irish brigade that was in Africa, and they basically is 155 Irish soldiers that got besieged by 4,000 uh, African paramilitary people, and uh, they fought them off for like 3 days, and not one Irishman died, which is pretty incredible. Um, but there's a whole backstory to them, how they were like treated like trash when came home, because it goes some into the politics of it, but like basically the UN tried to cover it up and basically threw them under the bus, and you know solidify the fact that the UN's a piece of trash. Anyway, and then I watched, for some reason, like one of my film channels was having a disturbing cartoon day, and I tuned in and I watched this. It's an anime. It's called Miori, I believe is how you pronounce it. It's like
Sounds
this
familiar.
girl. It's this girl that gets, I don't want to say abducted, but she basically starts living with these circus freaks after.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that is. I hated this movie. Like I don't like. I watched some disturbing anime and some disturbing movies, and there's generally a point to it at some point. Like in some point in the movie, you're like, oh, that's what they're trying to express. I never got any of that in this. This was just like gross and disturbing and not kind of nonsensical, to be honest with you, because it tries to put everything into a more realistic light on how like humans would act or whatever because of their depravity. But then it has this one guy who's just straight up magic, like literally straight up magic. I'm like, okay, well,
Magic Man.
yeah, literally Magic Man. And so I was just like, okay, I'm kind of checked out. I don't really care anymore. So I would give it like a 2 star out of 5 if I had to really put my thumb to it. Um, and then yes, and then the Kojima documentary dropped.
Forgot
Uh,
about that.
yeah, it was very interesting. I kind of wish they. The thing is, I don't know what they can say about the Konami relationship because I know that it's still like they're not allowed to talk about it. They don't have any like acknowledgement of it, whatever. So I kind of wish they dived more into that, but it was kind of interesting. Not as not as informative as I wanted it to be. It was basically kind of uh a commercial for come work for Kojima Productions, please. And so I will say though that dude has like the coolest work environment I've ever seen in my life. So they have like so he has these movies like he watches a movie, he's like, "Hey, I really want to get my creative team like on the same wavelength that I am." So he holds movie screenings of the movie that he watched that he wants other people to watch. Like, "Hey, go into your work week or your creative process with this in mind." And so he'll show a movie. So it's very interesting. Like the other day he showed Perfect Blue. I was just like, "Okay, what are you thinking about, dude?" So um but yeah, very, very interesting. But I do
I'd be
kind of
like,
wish
oh, we have to watch another Kojima pick.
um but I do wish they kind of got more into the nitty-gritty of it instead of just like, "Oh, hey, he's great, cool." But it was interesting. And then I played a video game, platinumed it, that I showed Michael. It's called Blood Wash. It's one of the games that Game Grumps and Markiplier played. So there's my platinum for the decade, Michael. I haven't platinumed a game yet in this
I
decade.
haven't
So
plotted one in a minute.
you haven't?
Mm. I've gotten far more strict on games that I'm willing to platinum.
Thank God.
I mean, I never was the crazy one. Like Ben platinum a freaking knack. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. The knack platinum is stupid beyond belief. And then yeah,
Then Alex.
like I really only platinum games that I really really like, or if they're really easy and I'm having fun with it.
I'm just bored at that point. I'm
But
like, I
even
beat the game.
even now I'm like I finished the game and like I'm trying to think of one recently that there was one last year. What was it? That I was like, I could platinum that. Hogwarts Legacy, perfect example. I love Harry Potter. I really, really enjoyed Hogwarts Legacy. I did all the side quests, got the main collectibles, and I was like, I'm done. I don't care enough to platinum it.
Well, like
It's
I
just too much of a waste of
platinumed
time.
I platinumed this one just because it literally required me to do 3 things.
Yeah.
I was like, "Okay, I'll do it, whatever."
I think the only
had-
game I platinum was Near Automata because I was
Oh,
so
geez.
into that
That's a
game.
crazy one.
Yeah. But the last one I platinumed was Spider-Man, I think. So that's
Oh
because
yeah, I did.
I was having
Oh,
a
I did
lot of fun
platinum
with that
Spider-Man
one.
too, but that one's easy.
So,
That's an easy platinum.
yeah.
I-
But and then the last thing I forgot to say when Michael was talking about Star Trek, I love the original Star Trek series music. I think it's
Yeah.
awesome.
It's good.
They probably have some of the best music cues and best score. I mean, the other ones are cool and all, but the original series just has awesome music. So I forgot to say that, but that's it.
Had to say it.
All right, Michael, why don't you finish your
Okay.
list?
Let's see. We've been talking about now. I missed this week's episode of Solo Leveling. I chose Star Trek over Solo Leveling, so you guys should be grateful.
I forgot about it.
I know. I was very sad. So, but I have been looking for more anime to watch. So I checked out one that I had on my list for a while called The Witch and the Beast.
Oh,
It is basically like a world where witches are just, bad. It's like the, like hunt them and kill them kind of thing. They're all super like just stereotypically evil. And so there's the main character of this dude with the giant coffin. He is a mage, and then his friend person who's like kind of you can tell there's something off about her. She kind of seems animalistic almost in a sense. And so they basically are hunting the witch that cursed her because the show starts off saying, hey, there's 3 ways to fix a witch's curse. Force a kiss upon him or something like that. I can't remember if you kill them or I don't know. There's 3 anyway, and there's another one that's like that temporarily fixed or something like that. But anyway, they're on the hunt for the one that actually cursed her. That's so much I've gotten. I only watched a few episodes. It's very like stereotypical anime. You're gonna get your
mhm.
very similar episodes going through where it's like, yeah, you get you already know the flow you're in, but the fighting is really cool. The voice acting is great. I like the characters so far. So it's fun. I'll probably continue it, but it's not like you're not
I
going
saw
mind blown.
it.
But it's
I
very
saw,
pretty art.
yeah. Yeah, I thought it looked interesting, but then I was like, I don't really, I don't know.
Yeah, that's my kind of like if I see on Crunchyroll's Instagram like a video of some anime that I'm like, oh, that looks cool. I'm gonna go check it out. And even though I don't know anything about it. Speaking of the next anime that I tried is a new one on HBO called, let me see if I can say this.
Is that ninja one? Yes.
Ninja.
Oh yeah,
I want to
everyone's
see
watching
this so
that.
bad.
Is it Kamui? How do you pronounce that?
Yeah.
Kamui.
Kamui. Yeah.
Kamui.
Kamui. Okay, so it's Ninja Kamui.
Hmm.
I will say they only had 2 episodes out when I started this early this week. The actual story substance and dialogue, I would probably give like a 4 out of 10. It's basically like
Looks like Snake Eyes, the anime.
yeah, is this dude that was a part of some secret ninja society. They're not supposed to have families or whatever the heck like that. And this guy, of course, broke that, and he's in hiding on the run from all these crazy ninjas. But you can obviously tell from literally go watch the very first scene of this anime. The first scene, they don't care about the freaking story or characters. The action and the animation. Like I was like, Alex, come here. You have to come into this room, please. And I turned it on. He goes, holy crap. Like the animation and fight scenes are incredible. And the 1st
I've
one
just
is
seen-
so cool.
I've just seen the Toonami like previews, and I was like, "Oh my god, that
like,
looks cool."
It's basically like I told Alex, like this is John Wick the anime. Like they don't care about story. They just like you have the opening sequence, which is kick butt awesome, and then it goes into this weird, awkward. It's that thing where they're trying to make you care about the family before they inevitably die, which is so obviously coming up that it's not even a spoiler me saying it, but. It's like
What?
weirdly almost music video style where he's singing the song on the guitar. It's very strange and awkward, but then it gets just back to fighting and killing. So I'm like, yeah, you get it. This is just for the action. The animation is why so far the first 2 episodes of you watching this show. The characters are cool. The animation's cool. The character styles are weird. They're kind of like cyborgy kind of looking ninjas. Just weird dude
Awesome.
with like strange dreadlocks. But yeah, like
Cyber ninjas are awesome.
the animation I was blown away. I was like, holy crap. It's crazy. But
I haven't seen like clips or anything, but I just keep seeing on like Instagram, like this is the must see it a ninja show, and I was like, might have to watch it.
yeah, so I would assume the 3rd episode's out now. I don't know when they're airing. Well, maybe I don't know when they air, but they're only 2 early this week. But very cool visually. Like I said, the story, I'm just like, I don't really. It's just basic and boring, but don't care. And moving on, we'll go to books. I finished Harry Potter 3 this week. Thomas went, oh, but we'll go back to him in a second after I finish my
Yeah.
book. Harry Potter 3. This book's just excellent. Like you guys know I love Harry Potter books. The first one is just like, hey, this is Harry Potter, Interesting World, so creative, so wonderful. I think I've pinpointed what's weird. I mentioned last time I talked about Harry Potter 2, there's something off about the second one. And I realized going into the third one, because it's weird, because normally I just listen to these. I'm like, I just enjoy them, whatever. But knowing that I'm going to talk about them and doing this, I'm kind of like trying to pick up on things and think about it in different ways. And so I realized this is really the first time I think she finds Harry's voice and like actually gets his character, who he is throughout the rest of the series. Yes, Jared?
Is the third one the prisoner of
Azkaban.
Alakazam?
But yeah, so I realized that because there's a lot in the second one that I'm like, that's not Harry. Things he does, like there's this kid Colin Creevy that comes in and Harry's kind of impatient with him, and he's the first year, and I'm like, you were the first year last year, like, and that's not who Harry's character is. So that's the thing. So I really think she finds Harry's character, and also just the story of this one. It's like it's mystery, just cocaine, man. The whole time you're like, what is going on? Who is this? You get introduced to Sirius Black. You're like, who is this guy? What is this weird mystery you have swirling around? You get introduced to the Dementors, the guards of Azkaban, that are just like J.K. Rowling's just crazy invention of like metamorphosizing, characterizing kind of depression. It's
You got this,
It's
Michael.
wild. Like all the things I was really paying attention to how much. I mean, it's obvious off the bat that it's like supposed to emblematize depression. You know, they make characters who are around them feel like they'll never be happy again, like that. But it's like how they kind of weave it in and just make these weird dark creatures that just like feed off of that is so interesting. But yeah, I love this book. It's so freaking good. I love the tone and the characters that exist. Lupin comes in this one, and he's got to be like top 5 characters in Harry Potter. Like it's just, I love that character. And
They
so
introduced the best character in this.
Sirius Black.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sirius Black is so freaking, and I love the weird. it's
I
always,
hate this series. The characters I love, they just toss them aside, and I'm like,
but it is. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, I was gonna say like this is one of two. Sorry, this is one of two of the Harry Potter books that I really enjoy because it's like Voldemort isn't in the slightest. So Voldemort's the big baddie, but there are two books that don't. He doesn't play a real part in the story at all, and this is one of them because this is just all about Sirius Black and learning more. I like this one because it delves a lot more into Harry's family. Because like the only kind of semblance you have of this is in the first book whenever Harry sees his family in the mirror of Erised. It just shows him, your heart's desire, and he sees his family. And so this is like kind of that feeling, but just brought about into the whole book. You learn about a lot more about his parents and how they met, and then who this Sirius Black character is and how he relates to Harry Potter. Not literally, but you know, yeah, love this book. Absolutely excellent. Super, super cool progression of like a lot of ending of things and a lot of beginning of things because this leads into getting into this is the first, like I said, the second one ends dark, but this is where it gets actually starts dark and is dark throughout the whole story. And yeah, I don't know. I love this book. So good. And not the best movie, but second best movie in my opinion.
So I'm like Jared. I don't really care about Harry Potter. It's just one thing, I didn't grow up with it, so that's part of it. But two, I just don't. It just doesn't really connect with me. It's kind of like Jared and Avatar. It's just like, oh, it's cool, but it's not my thing. But I will say the third book, the fifth book, and the sixth book are probably my favorite among the series. Probably in that order. No, actually, no. Five. Five is my favorite. And in this part, because I remember when you gave me these, because they're all on Audible books, or sorry, audio books. Back when we had these things called CDs, kids.
Yeah, take one out, put it in.
I read or went through the first two, and I was like, Michael, I'm not liking these at all. Like, this is not my thing. And they're like, no, it gets really good. And I'm like, oh God, okay, whatever. And I distinctly remember working at Starbucks and listening to this on one of my breaks. I was like, huh, this is kind of cool, actually. I think I like this one. And the third one, like, kind of sparked that little bit of interest in me. I'm like, oh,
sorry,
okay.
what is the fifth one?
That's the Order of the Phoenix.
Order of the Phoenix.
So
That's like one of the darker ones too.
Yeah, that's whenever like Voldemort's back from the fourth one, but no one believes it. Like he was supposed to come back in secret, but Harry survived in the fourth one, which he wasn't supposed to. And so the ministry, the government doesn't believe Harry. Everything's shutting it. They're trying to like put misinformation out there. Oh, fun words.
Oh yeah,
it's a modern time one.
Yeah. So it's a lot of playing around with like trying to make him seem like a liar and a attention-seeking child. And then Umbridge is at the school, which
that's someone with Umbridge. Yeah.
The devil comes to Hogwarts.
God, I hate that lady.
I
know. But yeah, this is definitely, like I said, this is where she finds Harry's voice, and really, I think her just writing chops really come in. Like, there's no more real goofy silliness. That's kind of like, oh, fun little easy excuses or easy answers. Dumbledore's not giving away points like they're candy,
I think that's also, it translates into the movies too, because the first one is like, oh yeah, it's kind of interesting, and then the second one, I'm like, God, I kind of hate this movie.
The second one is god awful.
It's awful. Like, I'm sorry, it's bad. And then I watched the third one. I was like, wow, okay.
God, the third one
that's pretty
so
good.
The third one has that what would you call him? Like the hangman. The hangman, there's like this dude with like this Final Fantasy axe, and I'm like, geez, dude,
the guy that executes the hippogriff.
Yeah, he's got this giant weapon. I'm like, dang, this guy's cool.
Something out of Bloodborne, right there,
dude. It's so out of place too. I think that's just you could tell how goth, because the director where it changed this one to Alfonso, and he's just goth, man.
Can you imagine like showing up to school? Like, what do you do? He's like, what do you think I do?
Kill birds.
I chop the wood.
The cafeteria, man.
Oh man. But yeah, love this book. Would you went Thomas in this book?
Sorry, I forgot to say I need to put it in my notes because I put it in the back of my. Oh yeah, I remember. So I'm reading a book. I finished the book today, and I'm watching the movie, and I'm trying to do that like once a month. Is finish a book, watch the movie that it's based on. So I'll have that movie watched next time, and I'll reveal what book I read.
Cat in the Hat.
Yes.
Cat in the Hat.
A masterpiece of poetic cinema, if there ever was one.
I love Green Eggs and Ham. So all right, so now the two movies that I watched are the last things I did. Going down the nominations for Oscars. Another massive okay, so Anatomy
His
of Fall.
You're
updates are
always surprised.
yeah.
You're always surprised.
Well, Anatomy of Fall, I wasn't surprised. I knew it was gonna be good. I shouldn't expect it to be that good. And then everyone was like, "Yeah." Maestro was like, "It was okay. You know, it was really good. You
Yeah.
know, but they're like, should it be nominated?" Holy, like I don't. It's top 3 for me now of last year.
Michael, every update. This is cinema.
This is
like-
the best one I've seen.
It's so I did not say that this time at all, but I did. I was just so surprised. This movie, so it was directed by Bradley Cooper. I didn't realize that, and then it stars Bradley Cooper, and it starts from the beginning of a life.
Did you know that too?
Yes. But and it has Carrie Mulligan, and I always
Mulligan.
have trouble remembering her name from Great Gatsby is where I know it from originally. But and so it's just basically like I would say it's about his life. This conductor, Leonardo something.
Bernstein.
Bernstein. He apparently did West Side Story, which I was like, huh. And then some other famous things, but I'm not educated enough to know. Anyway, but it's about him, but it really is a lot about her. And it's not so much about his career, which surprised me because I thought it was gonna be, just some very typical kind of not autobiographical, but biographic pick, whatever. But this movie's so interesting. I was trying to explain it to Ben. Like it starts initially and it's in black and white, and you have the like 4 by whatever the heck square screen, and even the dialogue and the tone and it feels, especially after we've been watching all of the Oscars on the House 6 podcast. Go check it out if you want to check that out. It's very much emblematic of that. So like how they talk, it's very dramatic. It's very expressive and over the top and like, oh, I'm gonna be dothing you with this and blah 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 flowery language, and it's very black, it's black and white, and it's just
Girl, I'm gonna doth you.
yeah. And so,
I thought you, sir.
so as the movie progresses and you get through the story, the movie literally ends to where it's in widescreen, and the entire kind of theme and how it's shot and done is different. It's much more modern and emotional and close-ups, and but it changes. Like there's segments of the entire movie where there's one point where he does this, one of the styles he chooses in one of the timelines is it's a lot of like holding shots. So you have kind of how I described what the heck was that movie with Kate Blanchett about the musician one as well.
Tar.
Thank
Tar.
you. So like a lot of those wide shots where they're sitting way back and they have their conversations in the back of the room. There's one shot like this where it takes the whole scene of where him and his wife are arguing, and it's that wide shot, but then it goes to conversation shots, and instead of like the usual I'm going to talk, we're going to show your face, then kind of, try and seamlessly blend between the two like that, it would hold on one person for a very long time. Like there's one scene in particular with Carrie Mulligan, and she's not talking through probably 3/4 of it, and you're just seeing her reaction. And I like at first you think that's kind of weird and strange, but I thought it was such a fresh take of, and it was so impactful emotionally because you kind of see how much she has to respond in the sense of like just physically you have to read her emotions, and how much that actually impacted especially the content of this movie. Very surprising because like I said, it's not really about his career in the slightest. The movie starts where he gets his big break and then he's just famous moving on. It's about his relationship and his sexuality. I don't think that's spoilers at all if like the main story, and it's
pretty public about that.
I didn't know it, but you do see it through the movie. You're like, okay, I can obviously see, because he kind of has this kind of fantasy moment where he's watching a guy dance, and you're like, oh, are you that? And then you get into that, and the movie kind of leaves from there. But it's not even about that, because it's about kind of them just being people together and understanding each other's weaknesses, strengths, and accepting it in a sense, because there's such a powerful moment where if you've seen like the trailers or anything, whatever, where he's in the church and he's doing the grand kind of scene you feel, and then she's there at the end, but this is after they had like kind of parted ways, and and she's like, what? He runs up to her right after the thing, and gosh, it makes me want to, like, I teared up at this movie again. I don't tear up during movies. Why am I tearing up? He gets done with this thing and he runs over and he's like, why are you here? Because he's a very interesting character in how he plays. Because he talks about how he just loves people. Like he just loves to love people and be around people and experience people. And he hates being alone. That's such a big thing to him. And he runs up to her and he's like, why are you here? Why are you here? And she's like, I have no hate for you at all. Like it's so weird. It's such a movie about understanding people's perspectives. And I don't know. I was astonished at this movie. It's like I talked about with Anatomy of Fall. Like I didn't feel like I was watching actors at all. Like they did such a good job just keeping you in the movie. Like I didn't want to look away, even though there were scenes where, like I was saying, it's mostly just dialogue and they're not changing. But it's how he chose to present the shots in that different way. Like there's a lot of weird experimental things that I actually messaged your brother, you and Jared's brother, Joseph Jonah, because he loves, like cinematography and stuff like that and how it's shot. I was like, you should watch this and tell me what you think. I want to see if he kind of gets the same things that I got out of it. But I was astonished at how unique this movie was and how different it was. So I think this should definitely be among the top that are talked about in this, because this, Anatomy of Fall, and Oppenheimer are now easily top three. Don't know which order they're in. Probably be depending
Barbie's
on how I
gonna
watch
win.
it, but Barbie will not win. But yeah, I had expressed how much like it was so fresh of something that I've seen before, which I loved, and I loved the choice they decided to take with the story. Super emotional movie, but just man, interesting character. This would be a great one for. I wish we had done this one when it came out, because I think we would have had a really really good conversation about it. But I will move on to my last thing that I watched because I've talked too long, and I did a rewatch of Dune. Haven't seen it since theaters. Preparing for next week Tuesday. So I had this at 3.5 on the Letterboxd scale out of 5. So that was a really good. I did bump it up to great because I think I did enjoy it more this second time, understanding a little more things rather than seeing it off the first time. I still have problems like with the shielding stuff, like it being red and blue is so. I feel like because rewatching this, I was watching it and I was kind of struck this time, and it might have been our shitty IMAX theater. Sorry, I didn't. It's our bad IMAX theater. I don't use normally swear in this. I apologize. Of the
It's that
visuals,
bad, guys.
It was that bad.
because watching it at home here, I was like, oh wow, this movie's beautiful. Like the sets are beautiful. The outfits are beautiful. Everything is so well done. And even what struck me this time a lot is the performances were so well done in this kind of fantasy world and everything. And I mean, it's A-list top tier actors you have in this, but I feel like they really, really nailed the characters. So all of that I thought was so good. So the only things that hold it back a little bit are just kind of some of the pointy things, like whenever I talked about before in our initial thing, whenever they have the sword thing and he shows his hand, slip through, and then he has to repeat the thing when they fight. The blade goes in slow. Like we know you don't have to do that. It's repeating stuff. And then the colors of the shield is weird, but I did enjoy it a lot more this time. So I'm very excited for the second one, I will say, especially with all the hype going around it. But yes.
You
Heck
you
yeah.
mentioning that, I watched a video on the spider that they included in the movie because it's not in the books, and I didn't even think about like the implications of that spider and like what they were trying to hint at, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
What are they
Interesting.
trying to hint at?
The doctor's wife, how she's taken by the Harkonnens. It's an experiment on her, and that's her.
Oh my.
Wow.
That's her.
Yeah, I was like, that's pretty cool.
Yikes. But yeah, so that's all I did, and I'm very excited for this part 2 now. This coming week.
It gets a little crazy in the second part.
I'm excited.
I'm hearing it gets crazy in the movie too, so I'm actually kind of excited. So
Not the way you're thinking, Thomas.
I too rewatched Dune yesterday.
Ooh.
So I liked it. I mean, I liked it the first time, and I liked it this time. I know a lot of people have a problem with the ending. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I like the
think
ending a lot.
It's
Sorry.
fine.
to be continued.
Yeah. Watched Hustle on Netflix with Adam Sandler. He's a basketball scout. Finds a guy in Spain.
Yeah, that's a good movie.
It's a good movie, man. Adam Sandler, when he does drama, is really good.
Yeah.
But it was also pretty funny. There's also a lot of funny parts in it. I watched a show on Netflix called Beef. It's an A24 show.
Oh, the one with Steven Yen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so he gets cut off by this lady in traffic. She flips him off, and this starts a gigantic feud. And people doing rotten stuff to each other because they hate each other. And it ends very A24 like. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I mean, I was just kind of mid in the show. I had a good premise. I really like the premise, but
You got
Yeah,
dis and you ate beef.
yeah, you can only take so much misery, I think, for
Can I predict the ending real quick?
yeah.
So it turns out that actually she's part of this feminist cult, and he gets picked up to be sacrificed to the unknown being that's in the sky, and he gets sucked up into there. And then the last part of the shots is him looking on to this whatever godly entity it is, and it cuts to black.
Not exactly. It is kind of trippy. There's some talking birds.
Ooh. Guy
Then
Buffalo.
I watched One Punch season 2, One Punch Man season
Have you
2.
not seen that?
I had not seen it because everyone was poo-pooing on it, saying it's awful. It's not like the first season. The issue I have with the first season is I love those first episodes. They're hilarious. It's some of the best anime. I'm not too crazy about the rest of the season when they get to the hero stuff and they fight that alien dude. I'm just not that crazy about it. So season 2, you could tell the animation's not as good as season 1, but I actually didn't mind the story. They introduced this other kind of anti-hero guy. And his story's actually pretty interesting. So
Goro.
yeah, so you got him, his story's pretty good, and then you have One Punch Man, who's One Punch Man, and he's just kind of making people look stupid. It's always kind of funny when Goro kind of interacts with One Punch Man because he'll just like smack him out of the way, and he's like, "What the heck happened?" But yeah, I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. So I'm gonna try another series that a lot of people hate the second season next time. So we'll see
Can I
how that-
guess
You can
what it
guess.
is? Never Promise Neverland.
Yeah, I'm gonna try the second season. On the internet side of the stuff, Google released a very racist AI bot. And
Oh my.
What?
it was
Did you hear
very,
about that?
No.
it was
Oh
very
my
funny
God.
watching people's interaction with this thing.
So, like, one of the highlights that I saw was just like, give me a night because okay, so the Google thing is that they're over inclusive with what they are like trying to portray in AI. So it go like someone put in a prompt for give me a German soldier in 1941. They came up with a black SS soldier.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh my God.
Yeah, so they would say like, "Give me the founding fathers." It'd be like Native Americans and
Like give me a it was like give me a pope and it was like a black woman. You're just
no, that was my favorite. It's like, "Give me a pope." It's a Hindu woman.
like, yeah.
Accurate.
Like, what the
Huh?
heck? So that was hilarious watching all that stuff. They say they're gonna fix it. They're not gonna fix it. They don't care. And then so there's this big controversy. I don't know if you know this guy. His name is Chris Stuckman.
Yeah.
Um, so he's a reviewer, and there's a big controversy because he's making movies now. So he goes on his show and he's like, "I am not going to criticize
Oh,
movies
yeah.
anymore."
He said that during Madam Web.
Yeah. So it's like this big thing. He said that. He said, "I'm not going to criticize. I'm not going to be negative about movies because I know how hard it is to make movies." And then he makes this Madam Web review, which we watched, or you guys watched it, so you know how bad that movies is. So he kind of can't make a positive review about this. So instead of doing a negative review, he goes and defends the filmmakers and says, "Oh, like it's all the studio's fault. The studio makes it bad. Studios make everything bad." And people are just like, "No, dude, the filmmakers take some of the blame, man. This is bad writing, it's bad directing. Everyone gets the credit." So I watched Mahler's. He's got a
He had a 8-hour video about this.
yeah, it was 6 hours or 5 hours, I think it was.
Oh, dang.
But yeah, he's on this podcast called EFAP, where they just like destruct every kind of video. They did this one good one where they criticize cinema sins for the sins they say, and it's like how stupid cinema sins is. So those are always good videos. So they were doing Chris Stuckman, and they were just doing like how crazy it is. You want to be a critic, but you don't want to criticize things, and it's just like counterintuitive. And that everyone's making the point. If you want to be a good critic, you got to give harsh criticism sometimes because that makes movies better. And so that was an interesting watch.
I watched that video and then I went off. I had this huge rant that I told Thomas about because of it, because I was like, dude, it's some of their fault. Like,
Yeah.
I hate this this recent movement of like creatives can't do anything wrong. Like, if you have a creative job, you're just like exempt from any kind of
It's like, well, you
criticism.
go do it because it's not easy.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, but
Yeah.
it still doesn't
Yeah,
have to be good.
Everyone's like, it's like a big secret that it's hard to make movie. It's not a big secret. There's documentaries about how hard it is to make movies. I mean, everyone knows it's hard to make movies, but that doesn't mean you can't criticize them. Roger Ebert is like the greatest movie critic of all time. He wrote a movie that's considered the worst movie of all time. I mean, it's just
Which one
because
did he
you're
write?
Beyond the Valley of the Dolls.
Oh Lord.
Yeah, it's one of the stupidest movies you'll ever see. But it just the arguments for not criticizing the movie it's just not valid at all. I mean, you don't have to be mean. You can just be kind of you can criticize and not be mean at the same time. But
I did like Kevin Smith's version of that. He's like, I don't mind critics like uh criticizing my movies. You know, we're all creative artists, we all have an opinion about it. He's like, but what I don't want to do is give someone a free pass to my movie and someone miss out on a paying ticket to that. So it's like, if you're gonna criticize my movie, you're gonna pay for it. So like his like pre screenings for like the film festivals, he didn't allow any critics in that didn't pay. I was
Hmm.
like, I'm okay with that because at least he's getting paid for it.
Yeah.
He's getting paid for
Yeah.
his creative outlet. He's like, if you want to criticize for it, go for it, but you have to pay for it. I'm not going to give you a free ride to poop on my movie when you're not even giving me anything in return.
Free
I'm like,
poops.
that's actually a really good
It's a fair
yes
compromise or
fair stance on it. Yeah.
yeah.
But he got in a lot of trouble a lot with a lot of the film festivals for people that we don't have a free pass. He's like, there are no free passes to my movie. You pay for my movie if you want to if you want to see an advanced screening and criticize it. Otherwise, you can't watch it. I'm like, that's a really good like point of view. So
yeah, that would solve a lot of stuff because, like, even with video game reviews,
oh yeah,
they give good reviews because they get the stuff early.
yeah.
So they don't want to stop getting the stuff early by giving so many bad reviews. So it's like maybe you should just give everyone the same stuff. Everybody pay for it. You know, if you
Because
want.
they want that advanced review before it comes out. And
Yeah, that's
so,
like their whole business is built on advanced reviews. So
yeah.
if they're scared to give stuff too critical because they don't want studios to stop giving them early access to stuff.
I remember Angry Joe had a big fight with WB Games for forgot which Lord of the Rings game it was. The second one, the Shadow of Mordor.
Mm,
They basically gave him the games. You can't say anything bad about it though. And Joe's like, that's my job. Like I have to say
yeah.
something. I have to be honest with it. And so he ended up paying for the game instead of getting what do you call it?
Review copy.
Yeah, review copy. He just like, screw it, I'll just pay for it. And so I'm like, honestly, that solves a lot of the problem for me. At least you're paying for your
It's
criticism.
it's kind of like the ads you see on YouTube, like for Raid Shadow Legends or something like
Yeah.
that. Like Hello Fresh. Like I would never. I don't think I'd ever sell their stuff because I don't like their stuff. Like
Yeah.
It is. I did watch a documentary about the Raid Shadow Legends though. It's like you see all these content creators putting this out. The thing is, every time that they put a Raid Shadow Legends out, they get $2,000. It's
yeah,
like you have no idea what that does for an independent reviewer. It's like $2,000. That's your budget for the next like month. So
Yeah.
it takes that pressure to come out with something so fast. And I'm like, honestly, that would be hard to turn down.
yeah.
$2,000 to do a 30-second ad read.
Yeah.
That's a lot. So
Well, they even laugh on Stuckman's video because they're always brought to you by like BetterHelp, and they're
Yeah.
like, you know what BetterHelp did? They like sold all the privacy, all the patient
they?
Patient
privacies.
info.
Patient
Yeah.
Yeah,
info.
they
no.
sold those out to companies.
They've done it twice now.
So they're like, why would you be a sponsored by them? But that goes with like embargoes too. Like the Echo one, they had the embargo like lifted right before the show, like the midnight before the show came out. So it's like when something's not going to be very good when they lift those embargoes super late. But
Like Little Platoon had a 3-hour video about Echo. And I was like, oh God.
I know I watched a hour about the Halo show because
Oh my
the
God.
season 2, it looked like, oh, Maybe they
not good.
fixed it. No.
Well, one of the guys is like, all you had to do was get a Supermarine in a metal suit and kill aliens. You couldn't even do that.
No one wants to see Master Chief at a dinner table talking about relationships, man. It's like, what the heck is going on? But yeah, so that was disappointing. All right. I think that's all for me. Any last word from you guys?
Nope.
All right. So like, subscribe, and notify yourself for even
Oh.
more good stuff. Oh, go ahead, Thomas.
Quick thing. Thank you for all the new likes and subscribes, by the way. That's a huge thing for us. And a quick shout out to Jared. He's over here in mine. He's over here at Michael's.
Up for you.
He's up. Sorry.
Where am I?
I don't know. For our little sideshow about That's Good Pasta, he does all of the technical stuff and all the mixing and everything else.
I made the music.
He did the intro for it. So
Hey.
all credit goes to Jared for the production side of that. So good job, Jared. And thank you everybody for watching us and subscribing. This is awesome that you guys are doing that. So thank you. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe down below. So,
And watch our other shows.
And remember to comment on anything you'd like to see or anything you'd like us to review.
and what do you
Or-
think Joseph should have in his
And
box next time? So
how disappointed in Michael you are because you
Yeah,
didn't watch Madam
why?
Web.
yeah, it's true.
Oh.
Yeah, true. If we get to 100
You didn't do it either, Joseph.
If he gets to 100 subscribers, or if we get to 100 subscribers, we should watch Madam Web,
Oh,
Michael. That
no.
should be our that
Cats
should be our
2.
bonus.
I mean, we already have freaking Rebel Moon Part 2 coming up. Okay, that's like a month.
don't- why
That's
do
like
you
a
guys
month
remind me?
away. A month and a couple weeks away, man.
Yep. So like, subscribe, and notify yourself for even more good stuff to come. And we will see you next time.
Bye.
Recording stopped.